Do you know how to write a construction site risk assessment? Hi, I'm Holly of Region Security Guardians YouTube channel, and in today's video we'll be teaching you how to write a construction site risk assessment. Construction sites are often at risk to many different types of hazards and crimes, and one security measure that security companies and construction site owners will use is risk assessment. A construction risk assessment is simply a risk assessment that has been specially designed for a construction site, and they can be an excellent way to help improve the safety on a construction site and to review the different safety measures that a construction site already has. Risk assessments also allow site owners to review which areas on their site are most vulnerable and to consider how secure the site is overall. How to write a construction risk assessment. When you're writing a risk assessment for a construction site, there are a variety of different sections that need to be included. The first section that should be included are what hazards currently threaten the site. And in this section you can write about the different potential hazards that could be potentially threatening your site or currently already threatening your site. Some of these hazards could be injuries, falling objects, working at heights, and moving objects. The second section within a construction site risk assessment is how likely is each hazard, and in this section you should think about and consider how likely it is for each hazard to happen. Some of the different categories that you can include in this section are: the risk is very likely, the risk is unlikely, it is possible that the risk could happen, and it is impossible that the risk could happen. The third section within construction site risk assessments is who is at risk, and in this section you should consider who will be at risk because of these hazards. This could be anybody visiting the site, any machinery on the site, or any employees working at the site. The fourth section within construction site risk assessments is how serious is this hazard, and in this section you should consider how serious it will be if this hazard actually happened. Every potential hazard or security risk will have a different scale of seriousness. Some of the categories within this section are: there is no risk, there is a minimal risk, there is a high risk, there is a low risk, and there is a maximum risk. The fifth section that should be included is how can this hazard be stopped, and in this section you should simply write about the different ways that you can stop this hazard. This could be the different security measures that you already have in place, or you could brainstorm new security measures that you could use, such as installing security cameras or hiring a security guard on your site. In this section you should also review the different security measures you already have in place and how effective they will be at preventing any hazard. The sixth and final section that you should include in a construction site risk assessment is called has the hazard been fixed? In this section you should simply write whether the hazard has actually been fixed or not. In this section you should also include whether the risk has been auctioned, and if so, by whom. What should be included in a site-specific risk assessment. As well as construction site risk assessments, construction site owners may also use site-specific risk assessments. And a site-specific risk assessment is simply a risk assessment that has been specially designed for a certain construction site or a certain project. Site-specific risk assessments, like normal construction site risk assessments, will normally be one document long. However, a normal risk assessment for a construction site may include general questions, while a more site-specific risk assessment may include more individual details, such as the name of the project, where the project is taking place, who is at risk during the project, and any specific potential hazards that particularly threaten this project or site. Who carries out risk assessments on construction sites? A common question asked about construction site risk assessments is who is allowed to carry them out. And while risk assessments can be carried out by the construction site owner and by security companies, construction site owners will tend to carry out risk assessments on their construction sites in a more general way, and their risk assessments will normally be just reviewing the health and safety of a construction site. While security companies who provide construction site security may perform risk assessments for construction sites in a more advanced and specific way, and in their risk assessments they'll conduct a more advanced review of the safety of a site, and they will look into which areas of a construction site are the most vulnerable to crime and potential hazards. Security companies will tend to send out either a security guard or a security manager to complete risk assessments on construction sites. How to carry out a construction site risk assessment. When construction site owners and security companies are carrying out risk assessments on construction sites, there are a few things they need to do and consider. The first thing they need to do is review different areas on a site that they believe are most vulnerable to crime or potential security hazards. Site owners will do this by reviewing different areas on their site and thinking about how unsafe they could be. The second thing you need to do when carrying out a construction site risk assessment is assessing the risk. During this step, you need to consider the different risks and hazards that could be potentially threatening your site and consider how serious each risk and hazard could be. When you are assessing the different risks that threaten each area, you should consider how serious each risk will be, who will be at risk because of these hazards, how likely it is for these risks to happen, and what would be the overall consequence if a hazard did happen. The third step that construction site owners and security companies will take when conducting construction risk assessments are how can they control the risk and stop it from happening. When they are doing this, they will consider the different ways and methods that they can stop the risk from happening and what they can do if the risk does happen and how they can stop this. During this step, security companies and site owners will think about the different security measures that they already have in place, and they will use this step as an opportunity to brainstorm new security methods that they can use to stop risks on their site. The final steps in conducting a risk assessment on a construction site is recording your findings within a document. When you record the findings within a document, it will make it easier a few months later to review the document. It is important that you regularly review the document so that you can make sure that all the different security measures are working correctly and that there are no vulnerable areas on your site. It is important for site owners to conduct regular risk assessments, especially when there has been a change at the workplace. These changes could be, for example, when new employees have started working at the construction site. So that's the end of our video. Do you think risk assessments are helpful for construction sites? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date with all the latest security guarding news. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you in the next one.